Here with Miami coach Anthony Noreen ahead of this weekend's trip to number 12 St. Cloud State, and we will take some questions.
Coach, we'll get to St. Cloud State here in just a moment. First off, back to this past weekend. Another bump in the road for your guys, another kind of learning process, I guess, for the guys in this series this past weekend. How do you kind of evaluate what you saw this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it. Probably an evenly fought game on Friday night. Obviously, you would have liked to come out on the right side of it. In overtime, even in chances, even in pretty much all facets of the game, credit them. They finished in overtime, and we felt it was a game we just needed to be better. We just felt like every area of the game we could be more dialed in, more connected as a group, and we felt Saturday was a step in that direction. Saturday's a game you lose, you don't get to overtime, but had the majority of the possession, had the majority of the scoring chances, had a ton of looks, and again, credit them for finishing in the third. But it was one of those where we would have liked to have certainly put some more pucks in the net. Could our game be better? Yes, absolutely. We certainly felt that there was enough to get the win in that game.
1-goal games. So teams sometimes need to learn how to win games and win in those tight situations when one mistake or one play can kind of change the outcome of the game. So is that kind of a mindset that you have to give to the guys?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, learning to win is a massive piece of this as a group, both for the new guys and the returning guys. In understanding that in the games we've played, I mean, you could say outside of the loss to Robert Morris and maybe the one win where we were up 3 going to the third against Alaska. Other than that, we've played all 1-goal games. Every game's been a 1-goal game. And the margin for error and the difference between winning or losing those games oftentimes comes down to a single play. And a single play that goes one way or the other, or maybe one extra stride or one more stick length or one, elevating the puck another inch. So it matters. Every one of those individual plays in those games matters because at the end of the day, it came down to one individual play that made the difference. So in how we practice, in how we train, in how we prepare in our video sessions, details matter. What you do matters, and those things show up. That's what the best teams and winning teams repeatedly do. They just do it right all the time. And they do it right more than the other team does. And more often than not, when it's on the line, it's time to show up. Those winning habits show up. So what we're really trying to ingrain in our guys more than anything is just winning habits, a winning mindset, a winning approach between games of how to take the information and apply it the next time, a winning approach to practice, and again, how much just every rep and every time we get a chance to do a video session or a practice or whatever it might mean, that stuff matters.
You get scoring from the blue line again. Michael Quinn gets his first collegiate goal, and you limited him to just 17 shots on goal. So the defensive element, and both nights again, close, tight game. So what do you see with the way that the defense is playing?
Yeah, I mean, I thought probably our biggest point of emphasis going into last weekend was to tighten up our defensive zone coverage, to give up less, to defend harder, specifically in shutting down corners, and a lot of that goes on our defensemen and our centers. And I thought it was an area you could distinctly see that we did a better job in. I thought our D did a better job, and I thought we did a better job from Friday night to Saturday night of breaking pucks out in a lot of areas. Our kill was better from Friday to Saturday. I just thought defensively we were better in that game. We were better in both games than we were the weekend before is what we felt. And I thought, for the 2D to get goals in those games, I know it's something that Size and Nyzie have been working on a lot with those guys, is offensive zone, shooting from the blue line and creating new shot lanes and things like that. So that was positive. What we need to do is we need to find a way to create more and to put more pucks in the net 5-on-5. That's from both our defensemen and our forward groups, and an area we just continue to harp on and continue to show and continue to build habits and detail and confidence and try to instill that every day.
One other guy defensively I want to kind of talk about that had not played in a long time. It had been a year and a half since he had been on the ice, Nick Donato. What did you see from him? Thought he gave you some really good minutes when he was out there.
I thought he was phenomenal in the game, in the minutes we gave him. Exactly what we need. He moved the puck. He made a play on what would have been a tap and goal. They pull Duco down the first period. Makes a good play offensively, but I thought he advanced pucks. He saw it, he moved it, and I thought he defended hard. And at the end of the day, that's what we want our defensemen to do. Number one is you need to defend. Number two, you need to break pucks out and get the puck to our forwards, and then you add offense and then other elements to your game. And, he's a guy, listen, Nick Donato did that. I mean, I had the pleasure of coaching him in Tri-City, and, as did Troy in that was a first place team in the best junior league in the world, and he played a ton of minutes and was a major factor on that team. Obviously gets an injury, fought back, and he's just a guy. The energy on our bench when he did things right was as good as I felt all year, because he's an easy guy to rally around because he does it right. He cares about it. He's a good teammate, shows up every day. He's a guy that hadn't played a game, until the 10th game of the year, but he kept showing up and kept doing it right. And everything that we've preached from day one is what he is, and deservingly so. He got some good minutes and had a good performance in that game.
All right, let's turn the page now. The non-conference part of the season is over for the rest of the year. Hard to believe that. All conference play from here on out. Welcome to the NCHC. You're going to get your first look this weekend at St. Cloud. So kind of your thought process of going into conference play, and specifically now at St. Cloud.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know what our conference is. And again, I think we figured out just how hard, just anybody you play in college hockey is. I mean, there wasn't an easy night. We haven't been part of an easy night yet through 10 games. And again, we like to believe that our game is gonna get better and go in the right direction, and our competition is obviously gonna get stiffer, and other teams are going to get better as it goes. And obviously going into St. Cloud, a team that's had a lot of success here over the years, a staff I know well, and they're good men, they're good coaches. They've got some elite players, a lot of guys, guy coach, bunch of guys that I know from coaching against, and we all know, they've done a really good job with that program overall, just consistently being that team. And maybe they don't win the NCHC every year, they're maybe not in the Frozen Four every year, but they're just always that team knocking on the door, and that's what we aspire to be. So if that's what you want to be, you've got to you got to go after it right now. And again, a really good opportunity for us to see what we're made of here this weekend.
I don't know enough about the USHL rinks to know. St. Cloud State, though, is Olympic-size ice, so it's the bigger sheet of ice. How do you prepare your guys for something like this, or do you try not to make too much of it?
I think every level of hockey, whether it be youth hockey, you're always going to come across some rinks that are Olympic sheet. When I was working at Stevens Point, we played, St. John's played out of St. Cloud's Arena. That was Olympic. So you saw that. And then in the USHL, in the Western Conference, we had Waterloo, who plays on an Olympic sheet. So it's something that I think every coach is at least – at some point in your schedule, you're not going to completely throw your game out the window for a 2-game set, but there are some things. It is very easy to play on the outside in an Olympic sheet and to possess pucks and be on the outside and feel like you've got, valuable possession. The key is you got to play on the interior of the rink. You want to be the team that's playing inside the dots and make the other team play outside the dots. Obviously, it's something they do a really good job of, and it's something we're going to have to get to right away.
One last thing, we're going to talk to Dylan Moulton here in a little bit. A fifth-year guy for you now in the locker room, kind of almost like a coach on the ice. You don't have a team captain per se, but tell us a little bit about what Dylan Moulton brings to the team.
Yeah, everybody in that room, including our coaching staff, has a ton of respect for Dylan, for Moulton. I talked about it on the radio show a couple weeks ago. He's a guy, no different than a lot of guys sitting in that room. Fifth year. Could have left, could have went somewhere else, portal, other teams wanted him. He chose to stay. He chose to stay because he believes in this program. He wants to be a part of getting it turned around, and he believes that it can get turned around. So he's been an absolute pleasure to coach. Again, a guy that gives you every single thing he has every night. He's a guy that will play hockey after this. He's got a bright future in front of him, and a guy that's been awesome to coach. I know we all feel fortunate to have him here, and he's a really important piece of that locker room, not just on the ice, but in and around the rink and in this community. He's a guy that guys can lean on, and he does things right, and really good support, really good supporter of his teammates, and a guy who cares. And wish him well. Every time he's on the ice, it's a guy you want to see have success. It's like we talked about with Nick, like guys that do it right. It's easy to root for those guys, and I think for his teammates, Moult's just a really easy guy to get behind and root for.
Here with Dylan Moulton ahead of this weekend's trip to number 12 St. Cloud State, and we'll take some questions.
Dylan, we're a little over a month into the season. Your fifth year. You're kind of like the grandpa here on the team, or one of the older guys on the team. So a lot of changes from the offseason from last year to this year. So what's it been like, kind of maybe just that first month of the season? Kind of give us your read on how things have gone in this transition.
It's hockey. It's kind of been the same. Obviously we brought in new pieces, which I think are some good pieces, and obviously, staff included. But to me, the real season starts now. Those 10 games are what they are, but I think we get into the gauntlet here, at least for the rest of the year, and that's kind of what is more important, I feel like, to us.
just talked to Coach, and he was talking about you being a fifth-year player. The landscape is so different now in college athletics. You have the ability to move somewhere else if you want to. Some of your teammates from past years have moved on. What was the reason? What kind of made you want to stick around here for a fifth year and continue on here at Miami?
There's that sign that says, leave the place better than you found it in here, and I feel like I got the opportunity to try and do that. I felt like we kind of got to start with culture and everything last year. We kind of didn't get the wins and results, but when I met with Coach Noreen in the spring, I felt like the message he was giving to me on what he wanted to do with this place and what direction he wants to put it in is exactly what I want this place to be, and I'm very fortunate that he's given me the opportunity to come back and work towards that.
Being as experienced as you are, being around this culture, being around Miami, and wanting to get this thing kind of turned around, what does it do for your game? How does that kind of put you in the locker room? Do you kind of feel like you're almost like a coach out on the ice when you're here, or in the locker room?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I know where my voice goes in this room just with the experience and the years that I do have here. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a vocal guy compared to some guys that we have on our team, but we'll speak when needs to be, when there needs to be a time to speak up. I kind of try to just lead by example when I can, just because like I said, I've been here for so long, and I'm definitely I'll be the first to say I'm not the most skilled guy on our team, so I'll leave some of that stuff to some of the other players, but just trying to be a guy someone can look up to, and just kind of speak when it needs to be.
Talk about the special teams play this year of the team, and compared to years past, at least through these first 10 games or so, it's been outstanding. So what has kind of been that difference? What is kind of prompting all that great play in the special teams?
I just think it's a chance for us to gain momentum. Obviously, I'm not power play, so I can't necessarily talk for those guys. But with PK, it's let's go dominate their power play. Let's go control the pace, because a lot of times with power play PK, that you can kind of see the pace of the game slow down a little bit, and it's kind of like, let's stay in it here, and it's also just an opportunity for us to gain momentum off of it. And I think an example of that was 2 weeks ago against Lindenwood, when we had the 9 minutes of kill in the third. But I think our team fed off of it. I'm sure Noreen's talked about it plenty of times in here, but it's just, I think that's one of our culture things too, is energy on the bench, being there for one another, being a great teammate. And I think when you go watch a guy eat a puck, or they aren't able to set it up and we're clearing it and we're all over them, I just think it's good for the team and getting momentum. And I think we've just been able to build off of that this year and just continuing to go out there and do it.
For you and Hampus, you guys came in here as freshmen. Think back to that freshman year, COVID year, the craziness of all that went through to where you're at now. Kind of as you look over the course of the year, and I don't want to get you. We still got more than half a season to go here, so we're not that far down the road yet. But what's it been like for you? Kind of how have you changed from that COVID freshman year to where you're at now?
I've just gotten older. I would say. More just on an individual. I feel I've been able to get stronger. I've been able to improve my game. But yeah, me and him were talking about that earlier. It feels like forever ago. Now I can't believe. Sometimes I can't believe I've been here for as long as I have, and
it's like a quarter of your life almost.
5 years. It's crazy. We've even had some alumni that have come and visit, and sitting down with them, and I'm like, I can't believe next year. I'm not coming. I've been used to going home, and then just know I'm coming here in August, and that's just not going to be a thing anymore. So
you're gonna miss Ireland too.
Yeah,
that's a bummer. You and I have talked about this before, but I just want you to kind of talk about it again. Guys from Tennessee, it's not your normal hotbed of hockey. We're going up to Minnesota this upcoming weekend. That's a hotbed of hockey. How'd you get your start in the game?
I'm going to give it to my dad. My dad played professional hockey. When he got out of the game, the reason I'm from Nashville is he was working in front office with the Preds. So, I was going to Preds games since I was a young kid, and I think I just kind of grew up around it, and that's what I want. I chose what I wanted to do. But I mean, I will say it's growing a lot down there. Like compared to when I was a kid, it's now those Michigan, Minnesota teams, they're traveling down to Nashville to play. I'm sure the parents want to go down there too. But no, it's definitely getting more competitive, and it's growing a lot. And I think the Preds are to contribute to that like 100% with the way they've grown. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. One last thing, heading into conference play, you mentioned a little bit earlier, the real season starts now, the conference gauntlet. So tough year last year in the NCHC. So what do you see? What are you getting ready for St. Cloud this weekend? I guess we won't get big picture of the whole conference.
I mean, I think Noreen, I'm sure, has touched on this. It's going to be more about us. And I think, that's what those 10 games to me kind of were, was trying to find and what we can work on. And obviously the 10 games did not go the way we wanted them to. And there's things that we can work on. I mean, with the NCHC, every single team has great depth. You got players to worry about. So, there's going to be that. I mean, we watch in the locker room tendencies. Like this week, we're watching some tendencies that the coaching staff has found with what they're doing. So, yeah, you're going to be mindful of that. But, I mean, we're playing a good team every night till March. And I think we're a good team, and I think if we play with with the way we can play and the systems and everything that they're telling us to do, I think we should have success.
Do you like playing on the big sheet of ice? Does that bother you at all?
It's love-hate relationship, I'd say. They play very well there. I will say that, and obviously we're used to this, but. Yeah, there's times where you got some more room and it's nice, but then when they got the more room and they're using it to their advantage, it's tough. But, yeah, love-hate. I'll go love-hate relationship with it.